Okay, this video is all about photosynthesis and cellular respiration. And first we're going to talk about photosynthesis and the chemistry behind that. So most people know that photosynthesis is when plants make their own food. But it doesn't necessarily have to be plants. Phytoplankton and algae can also make their own food, and they are not plants. So any organism that can make its own food is what's called a producer. So what actually happens during photosynthesis is that organisms convert carbon dioxide and water into sugar and oxygen. And this has to happen in the presence of light, because the light provides energy. And that energy is absorbed during the chemical reaction. So it is an endothermic reaction. And all of this takes place in a chloroplast, or in chloroplasts. Those are organelles within photosynthetic organisms that actually do the photosynthesis. So if an organism doesn't have those organelles in its cells, it can't go through photosynthesis, which is why we can't go through photosynthesis. We don't have chloroplasts. There's three major steps involved in photosynthesis. The first one is that chlorophyll, that green pigment that gives plants and other photosynthetic organisms that very identifiable look. That chlorophyll actually captures the light energy from the sun or whatever artificial light source you're using. Then the chloroplasts convert the carbon dioxide and oxygen, or carbon dioxide and water, into sugar and oxygen. And while that's happening, the energy that the chlorophyll captured is being stored within the bonds of the sugar molecule. So between the atoms, you have the bonds, and those bonds actually hold this energy. So the chemical equation, or chemical formula, for photosynthesis looks like this. You start out with 6 carbon dioxide molecules and 6 water molecules in the presence of light energy, usually sunlight, but it doesn't have to be. And those are converted. Remember, the arrow in a chemical equation means that the chemical reaction is actually taking place. Those are converted into glucose, which is the sugar that we were talking about. That's C6H12O6 and 6 oxygen molecules. So when you talk about the chemical equation, the reactants are, remember, the left side of the equation, and they are carbon dioxide and water. The light energy does not count as a reactant because it's not made of atoms. And the products are glucose and water. So all of that happens, and that's how the plants and the other photosynthetic organisms make their own food. But what does that mean why do they make it? The reason is so that they can go through what's called cellular respiration. And cellular respiration is the process where cells break down sugar to release the energy so that they can use it to perform all of the functions required for the organism to survive. So when that happens, that happens in every single organism on the planet, including photosynthetic ones, because they still have to grow and everything as well. So every single organism on the planet goes through cellular respiration, not just organisms that have to eat plants. And because you're actually breaking down the sugar molecule to release the energy, it's an exothermic reaction. And again, this all happens in one particular place in a cell, and that organelle is called a mitochondrion. And most people know it better as mitochondria, which is the plural of it.
What?
So the formula for cellular respiration looks like this. You start out with glucose, which is C6H12O6, and 6 oxygen molecules, and those are converted into 6 carbon dioxide molecules and 6 water molecules, and it releases chemical energy in the process. So just like before, the reactants are the left side of the chemical equation, and that is the glucose and the oxygen, and the products are the carbon dioxide and the water. But the chemical energy is not considered to be a product because it's not made of atoms.
Mom?
So let's compare the two. The reactants from one are the products from the other. So it forms a cycle. So photosynthesis starts out with carbon dioxide and water, and it converts that into glucose and oxygen. And then the glucose and the oxygen are converted during cellular respiration into carbon dioxide and water. So it's just a cycle that keeps on going.